Hi, my name's Denise and I own and run Heartfelt Products. And we are a custom product company. We do machine embroidery, DTFs. We make very niche dog products. We've got our own designs that we embroider, and we also embroider other people's logos and designs. You might be able to hear the dogs moving, but I think they're going to settle down and go to sleep, which is really good. So hopefully I've timed this just right. And so basically there's a few things I want to say. And if you have got anybody or if you're interested in manifestation, you're going to absolutely love this, because I cannot explain anything that's happened. All I know is I can tell you what it is, what's happened to me and several times, and why I'm doing what I'm doing now, and how it's got a much bigger community project, which means I'm going to have to set up a charity. And it's a real feel-good factor project. It's going to be nuts for me to do. It's like, what am I doing? Can I do this? Well, yes, I can do this. I got to keep, yes, I can, positive. So, yeah, so please keep watching, share, because it is pretty incredible, really. It is pretty incredible when I look, yeah. Anyway, so you can see, I actually do not have any words, and I don't know how to structure this, really. I'm going to do my best to structure this so that you can keep track of it all. It's quite long. So if you want to put me on pause and grab a coffee, that might be a really good idea. And also, great news, we now are selling to the US and Canada, which I've wanted to do for the last couple of years, but because they changed the tariffs and nobody knew what was going on, it didn't happen. And now we spent 3 weeks literally setting everything up on the .co.uk website, not the .com. That's still got to be completely revamped. But at least the .co.uk, where everything is, yeah, we've got it set up for the US and Canada. I'm really excited because lots of people email me, and I hate saying no, we don't do that, because I know there's people out there who really love what we do and they want to be able to support us, and I really appreciate that. We need that more now than ever, especially with what we've got coming up, which is a massive community project, which I'm hoping, I'm not going to tell you, I need to work this through in a logical order, otherwise it won't sound right. So yes, so I will say we are launching the Dream Big range, and the Dream Big range is to help me make my big dream come true. That's my slogan for this. And we've got the black hoodie with the lovely, the light lilac writing. It's got a darker colour on the website. We decided to do lighter, so we're going to change the photos of these. And we've got the lilac hoodie. We've also got t-shirts, and we've got a dedicated greatness Dream Big journal, which is like a manifestation journal. There's all sorts of pages in here. This is a prototype. It's going to have gold embossing, and it's going to be hard backed. It's going to have the wire binding, but I think it's going to be a long strip, and all sorts. So, and the reason for that being, I have used a diary in the past specifically for putting things that I want to happen. And because it's all in one place, it doesn't get put to one side like a diary. At the end of the year, you put your diary away, and then you bring out a new diary and you put that away, and things get lost. Whereas if you've got a dedicated book, it's really good to be able to put the things you're grateful for, your affirmations, you know, all sorts of things, and your life goals and your visions. And I think we all need that more now than ever, don't we? That positivity, we've really got to grasp hold of something at the moment. And you know, and I think for me that's really helpful, and I'm hoping it's going to be really helpful for you as well. And apart from that, it's really pretty because I didn't want just anything. I wanted it to be something special, and I do think the one that we're going to be doing, that is the hardback one, is the one that's being put together at the moment. It's got little gold metal corners on it. So yeah, anyway, so we've got those. We've also got bookmarks. Oh, I showed up. We've got bookmarks. This is just a prototype. They're going to be thicker card than this. And I am thinking that that would be lovely to be gold as well. So that one's going to be looked at to be changed. But we've also got bags. We're going to have DTF transfers on things. There's going to be greetings cards of different types. The range will extend because it's really, really, really important that we raise some money, because I need to start a charity, and we'll talk about that in a minute. And I want to talk about the manifestation side of things because I'm staying positive, because I think it's really important not to give up hope and to keep faith that things will happen. And sometimes it takes time. And I think there's several things that I've been through in life where things have literally surpassed my expectations. I've got the chills again. Every time I mention this, I get the tingles. It really exceeds my expectations every single time. And even yesterday, something happened, and it literally, things move me to tears. And it's like, it's crazy, but I can't explain it. Anyway, I'm going to tell you, and then you can sort of understand where I'm coming from and where this range is coming from. And hopefully it'll help. Hopefully it will help. So in 1998, I had a car accident. I was 6 years for the best part in bed and house confined, and I was 13 years disabled, and I lost over 95% movement in my right arm. So I had to really work hard to retrain, to learn to get my grip and my movement, and my arm used to hang dead. And it was really frustrating. I mean, when I first had the accident, all I could do was lie in bed. I could move my eyes, I could open my mouth, and I could get 6 feet to the toilet. And that was it. You know, it was, and I would have days where I had migraines really bad, and I wouldn't eat or move for like 3 days at a time. I'd have months and months where I just would be in bed and I couldn't lie flat. I had to lie in like a chair of pillows. And I got stuck that way, and then all my leg muscles went, and so I couldn't walk very well. And it just had this knock-on effect all the time, and oh, it was horrible. And people have a lot worse. So, you know, it's like you've got to be grateful for small mercies to start with. But I think right from the word go, the only thing I could do was write, and I was left-handed. So Mum gave me a diary, and she said, right, you're not going to wallow in self-pity. And she said, here's a diary, journal, you know, and write down things that are positive and all this, which is what I did. And I wrote an affirmation to myself, which I read every day, not to let this get to me, that I was going to get better and I was being positive, even though I was being told things to the contrary. And at 6 years, everyone had kind of given up on me, and it was like, right, okay. And it was an attitude of mind. It was an attitude of mind. I dread to think if I'd have given up and just gone, oh, okay, right, well, they've told me this, so I might as well not bother. I don't know, but I know that when I got to 13 years, my arm was incredible. I'm right side dominant. So even though I'm left-handed, everything else I do on my right hand. So it was really awful losing this hand, and it would just hang. So as I got more mobile, after the 6 years, it was things like if the oven was on, I opened the oven door to check on the meat, which my other half had put in, and I shut the oven door and I shut my arm in the oven, and you could smell like the fact I couldn't feel anything, it was dead. And I would, if Mum had come over and did the ironing, I would move my arm and it to get to the kettle, and it would jerk, and I'd run it down the iron, and I'd burn. Literally ridiculous. Then I can remember, this must have been about 7, 8 years in, I was a little bit more getting up during the day in the house, and Mum would come around midday, and there was this glass Pyrex dish, and it wasn't particularly heavy, it wasn't a massive one, but it was, and I wanted to move it, and I thought, yeah, I'll move it over there, and I got it with both hands. But this hand, for some reason, as I went to walk and I had nothing on my feet, it just went like that, and I dropped it over my instep, and it broke and shattered. And there was all this glass went into my foot, in my veins, and the blood was everywhere. It was like pumping out, and it was like, oh my goodness. And I couldn't bend down. I couldn't bend down to stop the bleeding. So I had to lean against the kitchen unit. With my other foot, I was brushing off the glass, and then I stood on it hard with the other foot, trying to compress it to stop the bleeding, thinking, I'm sure Mum will be here in a minute. I'm just going to have to stand it. And I was laughing. I developed this really warped sense of humour at this point, because of all the things that were happening. And Mum opened the front door, thought, oh, she's laughing. She, oh, you're having a good day today. Walked into the kitchen, and there was like all this going on. And yeah, so it was a bit full on. And I can remember the first meal that I cooked. Now, my other half at the time chopped all the veg for me. All I had to do was kind of stand there and help him stir it. It was a shepherd's pie and that, and he did it on the stove, and put it on the plate, and I couldn't wait. You know, it's like, oh my God, this is such an achievement. It was amazing. And I walked through into the dining room, and this ham went like that, like a frisbee, and the whole lot ended up on the wall. And I did cry at that point as well. But again, it was not giving in. And at the end of 13 years, oh my goodness, the difference was incredible. I mean, I was able to saw down trees. I was able to decorate the house. I was able to, I went back to ballet school, the Silver Swans for older leaders. And yeah, it was just like I got my life back. I was like fully functioning. I designed a walking stick called the Slick Stick. That sold globally. A company down south made it for me and under license, and they paid me a percentage of the sales from selling it. And it was incredible because it got me off benefits and I was helping other people with it. And you want to Google it, Slick Stick Denise Anstey, and it will come up. And then 2 years in, I'd won my British title for innovation. I started to write my autobiography called Stick With Me. And then 2 years in, they decided to shut their company down, start up a new one, take my product with them, with me on the box, advertising it as if I was still on board with the product. And they were selling it and they said, stop us. And it was civil. And the lawyers wanted like £300,000 up front, which I didn't have. And obviously because of the disability and everything. And so I decided to raise a petition to government, go with my MP to number 10 and Parliament, and to petition to change the laws to criminal, which happened 2 years later. It was in the Queen's speech and they stopped making it. And at that point, oh gosh, it was really difficult. I wanted to do it again. I did have a prototype. We did go to that BBC investment program, but they weren't interested. And then what happened was I needed a new car. Well, Dad had said a couple of years earlier, Dad said to me, do you want to come down to Volvo? I've got to go down there. You could come out for the ride, because I still wasn't really going very sort of far. And I said, yeah, okay. You know, we went down to Bristol, and in the actual showroom there was this lovely dark blue S70, Volvo S70 with a cream interior. It was incredible. And I sat in it and I can remember the smell. I can remember the feeling of sitting in it thinking, oh my goodness, I really want this car. Like, oh, I feel like amazing in this car. This is incredible. And I will have this car. And oh, and I got the tingles. It's weird. I talk about things and I get the tingles. And then it was like a couple of years later and I want this car. So I phoned up the local garage and I said, could you find me a car, please? Second hand, don't matter what it is, but I need a car, because I was starting to drive and go all over the place and I needed a reliable car. So they phoned me up and they said, yeah, we've got one. Can you get down here and have a look? So went over and it was the blue Volvo S70 with the cream interior. And he actually didn't want much money for it because he didn't deal in Volvos at the time. So it was like a win-win-win. I couldn't believe it. I mean, out of the thousands of cars that it could have been, hundreds of cars, and it was that one in the right colour. Well, I kept that car for like 13 years because it just felt it was meant for me. You know, it was odd. It just, yeah, I couldn't explain that one. So, and after that, I decided I'd worked for different companies and tried all different things. And I wanted to go back to being self-employed. I travelled to companies in Scotland. I was flying all over the place. I was flying in Spain to see Neil's parents. We were all over the place. And yeah, it was an amazing, amazing time. I had an amazing time. Went everywhere, did everything, nothing stopped me. And then decided that I probably wanted to make some products to help people with dementia. I'd worked with or liaised with some local care facilities and I wanted to make it very specific and targeted so it worked. They worked. And on the Monday, I went to see this wholesaler. They wanted 12,000 units of each of my product and there were 6 of them. It was like, yay. Wednesday, COVID happened. Everyone was shut down. And so we decided that was out the door then. Not going to happen. We bought 12 great big, 13 rolls of Gabardino fabric, which was really, really heavy. The only thing I didn't tend to do was lift, but apart from that, I did everything else. And these were delivered and we asked the community to make the scrubs and we compiled the garment pieces. We had someone cut the fabric into pieces and it was like 9 pieces of garment and it came all in bundles. Well, I hadn't actually thought this through really, but you can see on the website, I think it's our .com website, we've got pictures of all of this. And we've still got a fundraising project off the back of this going for the community. And yeah, so we did that. I think we made like 400 pairs of scrubs. I mean, the community was absolutely amazing. Yeah, I love doing community-based projects, and this is the thing. My community mean the world to me. I'm always very, well, this is where Heartfelt Products got its heartfelt from. This is what we do. This is like the part of Heartfelt, because I understand what it's like to be in a body, a disabled body, and struggling. Financially struggling. I've been in an abusive relationship for 5 years where I was beaten every night, you know, way back. And it's like, I understand so many different aspects of people's lives that, and I just want to be able to, I feel very protective and just want to make people, I just want to do the right thing and help people. And Heartfelt really is what we are, Heartfelt. Anyway, so yeah, so we were busy. We did all of this, and then at the end of it, I had a house in Bristol. I was down in Devon, and I decided that actually what I wanted to do was sell Bristol, sell the house in Devon, which had been left to me by my aunt, and buy one big house. So, and that was so that I could have my mum and dad when they got older to look after them and have them in an annex. It just kind of made sense, and it's really nice down in Devon. So mum and dad seemed to really engage with it and thought it was a really good idea. So that was it. So Bristol went on the market, went up, packed all the house up, and yeah, it was, so much to do. But we were allowed to travel during lockdown for the sale of a house, so that was good. But you couldn't have anyone help you, so I had to do it all myself. We decorated rooms were there as well, all sorts of things. And that sold, and then we were just waiting to the sale of the little one. And we then phoned up the estate agent and said, right, I'm looking for a house. It's very specific. So this is the next one. Ooh, bing. This is the next one. And I gave the list, and I knew that I needed to manage my expectations, but at the same time, I knew this is really what I wanted. And at the end of the week, the estate agent phoned me and said, there is a house out there that literally ticks all your boxes and more, but they don't want to sell it. They don't want to sell now because the lady's ill, and it's going to be like years before it'll come on the market. So you're just going to have to try and look for something else. Well, I wish they hadn't told me in a way, but it's weird they did. So we went through 8 houses in 2 years, and all sorts of things happened. We had 2 older couples pull out. We had a couple that was going to get divorced that decided they weren't going to get divorced. That was a very weird one. We had the first one, which I loved, and had a separate annex. The lady, because it was lockdown, said we couldn't go in the house, but we could peer in the windows. Well, we're British, you know, you don't peer in windows. But we had to, and it was raining, and the back of the house dipped down, so Neil had to really hoik me up, and I had to peer in. It was dark. I mean, you couldn't see anything. So it took 2 more months before she agreed for us to be able to go in the house and look round. Made the offer, she accepted it. Then she decided that the land she had, she got planning. She wanted to sell that separately but together, and put another cost on for that. So we had to get builders involved to raise the money to be able to, for them to have the land so we could have the house, and all this was going ahead. And the day the surveyor was due to go round, she told me she had bats in the roof. And that was like, okay. So all this was going on. Anyway, so I had a list of things that I wanted to look at, as I said, and the last house that fell through, the 8th one, I phoned up and I was really upset. And I said, look, you know, I spent so much money and wasted money on solicitors' fees, on surveys and extended surveys on several properties that, you know, I just can't afford to lose any more money. So the next house has to happen really quickly, has to be the one I want, and there doesn't have to be any hiccups because the stamp duty was going up and I wouldn't be able to afford it. So anyway, within an hour, I got a phone call saying this house has come on. A different estate agent, the house from 2 years ago had come on. We went round within the hour. Oh, God, chills again. And this house was like it. It was incredible. It was everything and more, as they said. And the weird thing, so this is how I knew it was a house. Apart from everything that it had, we opened the front door and the walls were orange, peach coloured. The house in Bideford, which was my aunt's house, her walls were peach. Then we went up into the bedroom, and in the bedroom it had a wardrobe with a glass insert, and it had this fabric which is like a vintage rose. I had that fabric from years ago in the house in Bristol. I put a picture. This is a picture of the wardrobe. Oh, and I'll show you the other bit in a minute because that's more relevant to what I'm going to talk about. So yeah, so I knew it was meant to be. So that was fantastic. So yeah, so again, it was like everything I wanted on that list. I just had to wait for it. And some things take time, you know, you just got to keep faith. And I just wish I hadn't bothered with all the other houses, but there we go. And that came true. So, and then I moved in here and I was in here for about a year. We've been here for nearly 4 years now. So it was about 3 years ago. And I'd got this dream. All right, this is where my dream comes into it. And I knew of the house that I wanted. It had been on the market when we were looking, and so I'd sort of seen it online being advertised. It wasn't right for us, but and it kept in my mind, and I thought, actually, that house would be brilliant. And what I want to do is I want to set up a charity, buy it for the local homeless, and I want to be able to set it up as like a holistic wellness place as well, where people can come to be nurtured, to learn new skills, and like maybe single parent families with little children that, you know, would be otherwise on the streets, would struggle to place them in homes. And this has been happening, and people have been on Facebook going, we've got nowhere to go, we've got children, we're going to be on the streets, the council can't place us, you know. And it's like, oh my goodness, and I feel helpless. So I knew about this house 3 years ago. And I drew it all out. I drew the plan out of how I wanted it to be. I could even put pods on the garden if necessary. They could have a veg patch. You know, we could bring in trainers to train new skills and holistic people to help healing. All sorts of things. Really nice, good things. And there was a bus stop right outside. And it literally is right outside Neil's old house from many years ago. So it was really weird. Dead opposite. So it kind of ticked all our boxes. And I kind of thinking, oh, it wasn't available, you know, it's not going to happen. And I was doing a video because I started to do the Dream Big range. And I was thinking I'd love to do it as a charity project. I'd love to be able to think that if I could sell 100 products, I will set up a charity. And I want to be able to do something for the community with that charity. And I was doing a video on Saturday night a couple of weeks ago, saying that I'd written this affirmation journal through my disability and I needed to find it, and then I would carry on the video the next day. And yeah, anyway, so the next day I was having a cup of coffee. Neil went to work. He works 7 days a week. He's got his own company. And I was having a cup of coffee and I sat there, and in my head it was like, where on earth is this journal? Like, where is it? And in my head this voice said, clean the bathroom. Like, clean the bathroom. And it was an order. And it was like, what? Clean the bathroom? Where did that come from? But it made me sit up. It was like, whoa, okay. Where did that come from? That was weird. So I phoned Neil up and I went, can you come home and help me clean the bathroom? Because I had the other car injury 2 years ago, which is, I can't do things like that. So, and he went, you want me to do what? I went, clean the bathroom. And he went, why? And I went, well, I told him, and he's like, well, okay. He knows now to listen to me a little bit. So he's, I'll be home in 10 minutes. All right, okay, thank you. Now, the bathroom was a junk room. It's been a junk room because when we moved in, the idea was that we would take the bath out and it was the room that needed doing. And so the bath got taken out and we were going to have a new bathroom. However, when we got to get the furniture out of storage from Bristol, the whole lot was mouldy and I had to refurnish the whole house and I didn't get a penny back in compensation. It was absolutely soul destroying. Everything you could ever think was in there has gone. So it took all the money. So then it was like the bath got taken out. And it's a nice sizable bathroom. It's downstairs. So things started getting put in there. But we knew that diary wasn't in there because he said that was in your sewing room. So he had a few weeks before turned out the sewing room. He turned out the embroidery room, the office, upstairs, everywhere. He went, well, where is it? It's like, I don't know. Anyway, so he came home. He got 11 bags of rubbish. There was all sorts of stuff in there. Some went to charity. Some went to the tip. And there was a last box at the back. And what happened was this box had come up my mum's garage 8 weeks earlier because she'd been selling her house down in Devon, and it got put in the back of the bathroom. So we were going through it, and right at the bottom of the very last box in the bathroom was this picture, and it was of the bedding of the vintage rose of the house in Bristol. I'll put the picture here. Isn't that amazing? Then underneath of that was my affirmation journal. Can you believe it? The last thing in the last box in that bathroom, out of 11 bags of stuff, and dog crates, all sorts of things. So yeah, so this is it. And on the front page, so there you are, there's words I put, are positive words, and I did a book of hopes and dreams, and then I did, on the second page, was my affirmation, and then after that, it was just detailing all about my accident for the whole of the book. And I couldn't believe I put this in a box and it had gone in Mum's garage, because this is so important to me, this book. This is my life in here, my fight, my journey, and it could have been eaten by rats or mice or anything. So how it got in there, we just don't know. So it was very, very strange. The whole situation was really, really strange. Anyway, the next day, I had a notification of houses that had come on the market. The house that I had been thinking about doing for this housing the homeless, it's got all the CQC regulations, it's got fire regulations, it's all new carpets, the bedrooms all ensuite, it's room for a caretaker. It is perfect. It is literally, so we went round and had a look, and it's like, oh my goodness, how are we going to raise the money to buy this? You know, so this is where like all these things were happening. All these things were like happening. But then yesterday something else happened. After I had this injury to my shoulder, I'd seen the optician about a year later, and they said, oh, you've got an accelerated cataract, and it must be from the injury, because I'd only gone to the optician the day before the injury and my vision was fine. So, and I said, oh God, and I had this, I couldn't see out this eye, and I was really worried because of the machine embroidery. I thought, oh my goodness, what am I going to do if that really goes across my eye? It's going to be a right performance. So, and I was really, I'd had enough of pain. It's been a long journey, and it's staying positive, but it's really hard. And so yesterday I went to the optician because Neil broke my glasses. He slammed the printer down on them on Sunday, and they got squashed these flat. And I thought, well, it feels like my vision's improved, so, which is odd. So I need to go and get it checked out. Cataract is gone. It's gone. Like, how can a cataract go? So it's like, well, they did scans, they compared scans, and it was like, yeah, there was something there. But so what they think happened was, because there's a little separation in that eye, and they think that maybe the jolt caused it separate, and it was the jelly that had gone to the front of my eye and was causing a block for me to see. And over the period of time, which has been 2 years, it's gone into little pinpricks, and my vision is actually back, and it's great. And it's like, oh my goodness, like that feels like a miracle. It's like, because I need to be able to see, to be able to do all of this, to be able to do this, to help raise money. So the idea is once I sell 100 garments or 100 anything of the Dream Big range, I am going to set up a charity, because it will be kind of a kind of nod to me that this is the right thing to do. But everything is kind of aligning, as you can see. Like I found the affirmation book, I found the I found the house came up, all this is happening. So, and it's perfect. So yeah, so that's what we're going to do, then set up a charity. However, what we could do is, if anyone wants to do pledges, I need to raise £1 million. I need to raise £1 million. So if anyone wants to give pledges, yes, we would be happy to donate this. Obviously, because it's a charity, it would come off any tax bills. You could offset against tax. So please let me know. That would be so helpful, because this house could sell tomorrow, and then we'd be like, oh, great, but then it kind of wouldn't be meant to be, would it? But once we know we've got all the money we can draw in, we can get the charity, get all the money set up, and just do it, which would be absolutely fantastic. Because there's like, is it 22 new people a day on average, and like in our area, that are made homeless, and I just can't cope with it. It's just horrendous. It's all the local people, and I just feel I need to do something to help them. So that's the plan of this range. That's what's happening. So please share this. And as I say, it's been an incredible journey. The things that have happened, like being positive through the car accident, getting my mobility back against all odds, having a great life in between, the car, the S70, the just everything that I've done, the house, the house, and the fact there was all these signs that it was meant to be with a fabric which is light and the colour of the walls, which we never had in any of the other houses we'd seen, this colour, and everything that we'd wanted. And then it was just like boom, 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 boom. And it was like, oh my goodness. And then this week, and then finding the book, and then having the house, and then my eyesight being fine because I need to do this, is like pushing me in this direction. So let's fingers crossed hope. But it is about writing it down, keeping focused on your end goal, being positive, having faith, working towards something, taking those steps to make it happen. And and just waiting. So I hope you found that interesting. Please share. I could read you, as a finding part in thing, my affirmation to myself, because it might be useful. Let me read this to you very quickly. It's not too long, I promise. It goes like this. I feel the whole journey surreal. It's not my life. It's a fantasy journey on life's big ocean. In an old sea galleon with torn bedraggled sails and rot in my bow, sailing across rough seas to the promised calmer waters on the horizon, and then eventually reaching the place I want to be. Telescope at the ready, I realise that the horizon's moved again, way in the distance. There's another ship there, so I know it isn't an impossible journey, but why can't I reach it? My ship is a wreck, and I'm beginning to sink. Pirates attack me and send cannonballs to rip into my soul. And in the midst of the battle, which seems hopeless, land ahoy is shouted. A promise of well-being. And at last, battered but not broken, we land safely on uncharted shores, ready to embark on life's new journey. A journey never planned or thought about, but a journey of taking a day at a time, until the days make months, the months make years, and the years show that anything is possible to achieve from the wreck of a sinking vessel. People talk today not only of the journey, the fight and the struggle, but of the determination and steadfastness of the spirit within. The vessel, a mere carrier, for the spirit is life, the captain of the ship. I'll leave that with you. Keep positive.